Hey guys, Prithvi Raj, hope you guys are doing great. Now the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE was one memorable fan service of a smartphone which won many hearts. It became one of the best-selling smartphones. But today we have the Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition, which kind of came a little too late. So my question is, will the successor follow the same footsteps as its predecessor? Which is what we're going to talk about in this video. So let's not waste any time and get right into it. And you're watching The Adventures of Vesper. Now let me start off with the form factor. Now the S21 FE brought back my love for smaller phones. Honestly, the S21 FE, it's actually not even the smallest by today's standards, but it's relatively smaller than the S21 Ultra, which is a behemoth of a smartphone, and it's actually my personal daily driver. The S21 FE is very nice to grip, very easy to hold. One hand usage is going to be pretty easy to do, and as much as people complain that the back is actually plastic, I think it's genius because plastic is slightly more durable than glass. And let's just say if this phone was covered in glass and if it breaks, your cost of repairing is going to go higher. And most of the people that's going to choose the Fan Edition are actually planning to use it for as long as possible, and we're talking about the 3 to 4 years mark. And in that case, going for plastic is actually very genius, and also at the same time the phone doesn't look or feel entirely cheap just because they cut costs, but it was done very strategically, and I think going for what they have here and still having the same look as the other S21 is actually pretty genius. Next up, we're going to talk about the display, and it's going to be right here. Now, till date, there aren't many practical reasons for a curved display. Back then, there was that immersiveness for VR, but it doesn't apply anymore. This 6.44 Full HD Plus AMOLED display with 120Hz has all the goodness Samsung has to offer. It's beautiful. The color just pops. It has amazing true blacks. There aren't much to complain when it comes to Samsung's AMOLED display because they have always been a really good performer, so much so to a point every other smartphone manufacturers always have an eye for AMOLED display. And yes, like I said, it's safe to say it's hard to beat Samsung's display as they have the highest quality, and finding it in their affordable smartphone like this Fan Edition only makes the experience completely fruitful. Again, the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE, right? It's actually a jack of all trades, to be honest, because the Fan Edition is in its name for a good reason, because it's a fan service smartphone, giving consumers what they need at an affordable price point, and the phone delivers with a quality performance under the hood that's capable of handling pretty much any kind of task, coupled with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, which is the variant that we have here. And you're pretty much ready to set out, make some memories, have a reliable phone in your pocket, and count on it. Now, yes, we are not getting the Snapdragon variant. Now, if you're wondering, Malaysia is getting the Exynos variant, so it runs the Exynos 2100. So we don't get the Snapdragon 888, which I am extremely glad, because the thermals on the Snapdragon 888 processor running smartphones is pretty concerning, because we have reviewed a lot in the past last year, and most of it actually has some thermal throttling issues, which I really don't want to see the S21 FE go through because of its smaller body and so on. Otherwise, under the hood, you get a 4500 mAh battery and the potential to charge at 25 watt wired, which is good. And usually the battery life is significantly hit with the 120 Hz turned on, but if you switch to 60 Hz, then the battery life actually gets prolonged by 10 to 12%, which is actually a lot. So depending on what kind of user you are, that's approximately an hour or two, so you can actually switch it whenever you want. Now, otherwise, some of the other stuff that I want to talk about is actually the speakers, which sounds great, and in fact it sounds the same way as the S21 with stereo support out of the box. The fingerprint sensor, though, it actually uses an optical sensor instead of the ultrasonic sensors that we have been seeing in the S21. So if we are talking about the optical sensor, it's basically the same as the S20 series, and so you can expect the performance to be slightly slower. Okay, now finally we're going to get into the camera aspect of this particular smartphone. Now, 2 out of 3 cameras are pretty much the same as the S21 series. Now, we have 3 cameras, which is the ultra-wide, wide-angle and telephoto, where the ultra-wide and wide-angle is a 12 megapixel sensor and the telephoto is an 8 megapixel sensor. My only concern is that since it's a telephoto sensor, I wish there was like 12 megapixels so it could have like matched very well, but unfortunately they went with an 8 megapixel sensor. Now, in terms of quality, telephoto and wide angle, surprisingly that 8 megapixel does do a good job in taking picture. You can actually check out some of the pictures that we have posted in our article, or even check out some of the sample shots here. It does a good job in terms of white balance. You can see adequate details captured, performing better than I expected in low light conditions. There are times where you can notice some color shifts, which isn't pretty, but most of the time the shots are vibrant the way Samsung phones produce color anyway. But if there's one camera that I think that performs kind of subpar in terms of details, it's actually the ultra-wide sensor, which is a 12 megapixel sensor. As long as you don't pixel peep into the images and see what's afar, there's no need to, because you already have a telephoto sensor if you want to take something that's afar. But still, again, that's okay. Now here's the thing. I have some strong opinions with this particular smartphone because it's actually a very good Pixel 6 alternative. Everybody would go like, oh, I can get the Pixel 6 instead, I can get the Pixel 6 instead, but honestly, I can't stress this any further because the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE is going to be the Pixel 6 alternative in regions where you can't get Google's offering officially. So we live in Malaysia and Pixel 6 is almost non-existent when it comes to official presence, so you have to get like import set, and that's going to get you into a lot of trouble. And given the fact that Pixel 6 and S21 FE, by the way, runs on Android 12 out of the box, it's actually odd to see that the Pixel is riddled with mysterious problem, which we are not seeing in our S21 Ultra personally, but somehow the S21 FE isn't going through that. So, which is good, to be honest, but even if the software does give some sort of issue, right, and if you're not really happy with it, you can still go to an official service center and talk about it and get some help, which is not something you can get with the Pixel 6. Now, the S22 series again is around the corner. So this is a very concerning matter because Samsung has teased the upcoming Galaxy S22 series that it's going to be noteworthy and all that. In fact, I even wrote a love letter that they actually killed the Note series. I'm so sad about that, but if you want to read that, also the link is in the description below. And again, that series is going to consist of 3 smartphones. Obviously, it's going to be the S22, S22 Plus and Ultra. Now, if we were to omit the S22 Plus and the Ultra, the S22, which is kind of like the starter S22 smartphone, it actually poses a threat to the S21 FE because of its new hardware for the new year. And we can assume that the S22 upgrade is going to be slightly incremental, but again, that's just a guessing game and we don't know what's going to happen, which is why I don't see anything wrong in consumers waiting to get the S22 before they cave in and purchase the fan edition. But there is one silver lining though. If you have not noticed, right, the S21 FE has an added advantage in its software department. Samsung actually made a huge promise that they are going to deliver 3 years of updates to certain smartphones, and when I talk about 3 years of updates, we are talking about 3 years of major software updates and 1 year of extra security updates, so that totals up to 4, but I'm still going to call it 3 anyway. Now, what makes this fan edition interesting is that how it uses similar hardware to other S21 brethrens, but it gets an extra year of update. So when the S21 series, now it actually only has about 2 years of major updates. In that case, the FE actually has 3 years of major updates. So just because it was released in 2022. So that's a very nice caveat. Now we are at the end of the video and I'm going to conclude about this phone. And again, I'm not going to go all clickbaity and go like, you know, this is the best phone you can buy and so on, because that doesn't make sense. But using this phone for more than a week only brought up this question, like, who is this Samsung Galaxy S21 FE even for? Now, it's for those who want a flagship experience, but factoring in 2 important things. Making sure the phone is capable of withstanding their demanding task and not costing every penny and dime that they have had at hand. It's the Android phone that you can actually recommend to anybody switching from iPhone to try out a good Android phone, really. Or students who want a nice phone without breaking the bank and they want to just use their hard-earned money. Or anyone who wants to upgrade from a few years old smartphone to this one. It's a really good smartphone. So that's all we have to say. Thank you so much for watching this video, and huge thanks to Samsung Malaysia for providing us the S21 FE, for making this content happen. And make sure to check out our other content that we are trying to do later this year, and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure to like our Facebook page for more interesting content like this one. So that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. We will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, this is Prithviraj signing off. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.